Ezra chapter 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus saith Cyrus king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth hath the Lord the God of heaven given me, and he hath charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Whosoever there is among you of all his people, his God be with him, let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord, the God of Israel. He is the God who is in Jerusalem. And whosoever is left in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver, and with gold, and with goods, and with beasts, besides freewill offerings for the house of God, which is in Jerusalem. Then rose up the heads of the fathers' houses of Judah, and Benjamin, and the priest, and the Levite, even all whose spirit God had stirred up to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. And all they that were round about them strengthened their hands with vessels of silver, with gold, with goods, and with beasts, and with precious things, besides all that was willingly offered. Also Cyrus the king brought forth vessels of the house of the Lord, which Nebuchadnezzar had brought forth out of Jerusalem, and had put them in the house of his gods. Even those did Cyrus king of Persia bring forth by the hand of Mithridath the treasurer, and numbered them unto Sheshbazzar the prince of Judah. And this is the number of them, 30 basins of gold, 1,000 basins of silver, 29 knives, 30 bowls of gold, silver bowls of a second sort 410, and other vessels 1,000. All the vessels of gold and of silver were 5,400. All these did Sheshbazzar bring up, when they of the captivity were brought up from Babylon unto Jerusalem. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. We'll be starting this book of Ezra today. We will find out Ezra is this help, or the assistance, this support, this thing which helps support or assist. And we will be, Ezra took place during the time of Cyrus, and Cyrus is that one, that end period. We're going to find this in the last chapter of Chronicles, that period where they were taken off by the mouth of Jeremiah. We might mention a chapter or so there in Isaiah, or Isaiah, where Cyrus was called by name. Cyrus is that possessor of furnace. God called him by name even from the beginning. And we're going to, as we go through the book of Ezra, we're going to find out that Ezra had decided the whole problem was that the men had took for themselves these foreign wives, and these wives would be a reflection of their understanding. These women from foreign women, and that would be these things from men that were foreign even to their understanding. But we're going to go ahead and pick it up here in verse 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, the king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, and this would be that first year of Cyrus. He is the king of Persia. Cyrus means this possessor of the furnace, this one who possesses the furnace, or this place of judgment is what the furnace really represents. He is the Molech of Persia, and that Molech is that king, and we'll find out God had given him great dominion. He is the king of Persia. Persia is all splendor, and it's these things we would associate with splendor. And it would be during that period of time that the word of God might be fulfilled, which the mouth, and that was that place where Jeremiah, see, that's that one who was appointed by God, poured it out, that it might be accomplished. We'll find that God did stir up the spirit, even the understandings of Cyrus, this one who possesses the furnace. He once again will be the king, or the Molech of Persia, this splendorous thing. 2. Thus saith Cyrus, the king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth hath the Lord, the God of heaven, given me, and hath charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. And we'll find this verse is verbatim to the last verse of chapter 36, 2nd Chronicles, or the last chapter of 2nd Chronicles, last verse. This is what that verse would contain, and a part of the next verse. Cyrus proclaiming himself to be the king appointed by God, this one who was ruling all the nations of the earth, even all the kingdoms, those dominions of all the other kings as well. And he had been charged to build God a house, and we'll find out it was going to be during this period of time that those of Judah, even those that have been took captivity, God was set this judgment in place at that time to appoint to them a period, a time given of punishment, even of judgment. 3. Whosoever there is among you of his people, his God be with him. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord, the God of Israel. He is the God who is in Jerusalem. And whosoever there is among you of his people, that's of the people of God, his God be with him. We'll find out this was what was written to those that were taken captive. This would be part of a letter that was written by Cyrus. We'll find it documented later on in the book of Ezra. That they would go back up to build this house of God by the writing of Cyrus. 4. Or by the declaration of Cyrus. 4. And whosoever is left in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver, and with gold, and with goods, and with beasts, besides freewill offerings for the house of God, which is in Jerusalem. And this would be anybody that was left who lived around there where these men would be, in their places where they had been scattered out among all the nations. For we'll find out, see, God was showing a great work then, that God has that ability even then. But we'll find out that these that were left would support them, would help them, would make them stronger by giving them silver. And this is that which is going to pass through the fire. That's what it represents. This has to be purified. And with the gold, that which belongs to God anyway, with goods, these things to help sustain them along their way. And with these beasts, these things will be to make atonement. Besides these free will offerings, these things that do make atonement, that are given with free will to the house of God. And that's that place where we're going to find out they will rebuild the temple. 5. Then rose up the heads of the fathers' houses of Judah and Benjamin, and the priest and the Levite, even all whose spirit God had stirred to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. And all these who will find out, these will be of their fathers' houses of Judah, those of praisings, and Benjamin. Benjamin was the son of my strength. He would be the son of Jacob, and the last son born, Benjamin, would be the son of my strength, or the son of my right hand. I call him the son of my works, or that which comes forth from it. And the priests are those which stand before the Lord. These are the Levites, and the Levites as well. They were of one house, divided in the beginning, even those that would do the service of God, divided from those of Aaron's house. And Aaron means light giver. And his sons would be the priests, even all those whose spirit God, we'll find out who God stirred up, because it is the Lord who controls these things, even these periods of time. 6. And all they that were round about them strengthened their hands with vessels of silver, with gold, with goods, with beasts, and precious things, beside all that was willingly offered. And all these, everybody that's around, will find they strengthen their hands. They strengthen what they're doing. They strengthen them with these vessels. These vessels, we'll learn about these vessels, are these bowls, these basins, or these chargers, these things they bring forth, carry with, these things that they contain. And these things, we'll find out what they contain. It's going to be the silver and the gold. It always is. The silver is these things that pass through the fire. Those represent that last generation that had to go through the judgment of God, with the gold. And the gold being that belongs to God anyway. But we'll find out all these that were around the area, they help them, they strengthen them with all these goods, these gold, this silver, these beasts, everything they need. Because we'll find out once again, God's prospering just like he did when they came up out of Egypt. They got it. They was giving them the gold and the silver and every precious thing when they come out of there, because that's the way God does things. 7. Also Cyrus, the king, brought forth the vessels of the house of the Lord, which Nebuchadnezzar had brought forth out of the Jerusalem, and had put them in the house of his gods. And we will remember these vessels, all these things that belong to God anyway, these things that contained all the judgments, and all this of God, all these things that belong to God. Cyrus brought them forth. Cyrus, he's the one that possesses the furnace. He will be the one who's took in charge of it. And all these vessels of God, which Nebuchadnezzar, remember Nebuchadnezzar, he's that prophet that protects the crown. He had carried all these things off from Jerusalem, that place of peaceful teachings, unto his gods over in Babylon, his gods, even over there in confusion. 8. Even those did Cyrus, king of Persia, bring forth by the hand of Mithridates, the treasurer, and numbered them unto Sheshbazzar, the prince of Judah. Even all these vessels, which Nebuchadnezzar had carried off to his not gods, Cyrus, the king of Persia. Cyrus would be, once again, he is that one that possesses the fire, the Molech of splendor. He brings them forth by the works of Mithridates. Mithridates means Mithra has given, and Mithra is a whole different subject. Mithra was not a god, a deity of the Persians. Mithra was some thing of imaginations of men, this thing that contained light and truth and understanding. It's a whole other subject, and one can do their own investigations of it. But they was brought forth and given by Mithra, this treasurer, and this is the one who would keep and be over all the precious things we find that belong to the king. And they numbered them unto Sheshbazzar. And Sheshbazzar, we'll see here that he was also the prince of Judah. And that is the prince. We'll find out, Sheshbazzar is also known as Zerubbabel. And Sheshbazzar is this worshiper of fire. 9. And this is the number of them. 30 basins of gold, 1,000 basins of silver, 9 and 20 knives. This would be the number, or the reckoning, the recording of, the duplication of, or the 30 basins of gold. And these 30 basins, this 30, anytime we see 30, we can just about figure it's dedicated. Why? Well, it's 3 tens. That's it, and that's going to be used as a complete witness of the law. These basins, or these chargers, these things here are chargers. They are something that's going to be used to carry or to hold, to support of gold. Those things that belong to God. The gold always does belong to God. 1,000 of these chargers, or these basins, these things that support carry of silver, and 1,000 because it's going to be for fulfillment. These things of silver, and that's going to be, once again, the pad to pass through the fire. It's going to represent these things, this judgment of God that had to cause the last generation to pass through the fire. These 9 and 20 knives. 9, because there's a harvest. See, there's a harvest. 9 is a harvest. And 20 knives. These 20, it's redemption. 20 is always redemption. 2 tens, that's to witness the law, is redemption. Knives. Knives is something that cuts, it passes through, and that's exactly what it comes from, that word, to pass through, pass on, pass. We'll find out between, because we'll witness the law here, passing through in the book of Ezra 10. 30 bowls of gold, silver bowls of the second sort 410, and other vessels 1,000. And these 30 bowls of gold, bowls, a bowl is something that contains, it's something that holds, or there's something within it, and we'll find out it's of gold. That belongs to God. These silver bowls of a second sort, now we'll be able to witness these silver bowls of a second sort, and that's going to be these things that are going to pass through the fire. See, these things that contain, that are going to pass through the fire, this silver, that's what it's going to do. We'll find it representing that judgment that God's going to place on that which is going to pass through the fire. This other portion, 410. See, because why? That's 4. That's the work of God. 100. That's judgment. It always is. It's the work of God in judgment. And 10, it's the law. See, because that's the way God always works. His judgment's in the law, which he gave you in the beginning to keep for your own good. And these other vessels, 1,000, and all these other vessels, there's 1,000. It's going to be for the fulfillment. 11. And all the vessels of gold and of silver were 5,400. All these did Sheshbazzar bring up, when they of captivity were brought up from Babylon unto Jerusalem. And all these vessels of gold, that which belongs to God, and of silver, that which is passed through the fire, had to been purified. See, it had to be purified, passed through the judgment, were 5,400. 5, it's grace. It's grace and it's fulfillment. It always is God offering a new beginning from his judgment. That 400, that's the work of God. See, the judgment was. All these did Sheshbazzar bring up. Sheshbazzar, once again, this worshiper of fire, he is Zerubbabel. He'll be referred to as Zerubbabel in other places of these scriptures. All these, we'll find out, they brought up when they came of the captivity, were brought up from Babylon. And that is that place of confusion, unto Jerusalem, unto that city of peaceful teachings. And we'll find out when they came back, they brought all these things. They're going to try to reestablish they are going to reestablish the house of God and the temple of God. We'll find out it's going to be quite a little bit of trouble. As it was said, it would be in troublous times. And we're going to find that part of this story is told right here in the book of Ezra. We're going to follow it through as we go. We're going to pick it up in chapter 2. Turn and return.